All right, let's look at our, you guys can hear me okay on remote? How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so your handouts, let's move to that. Guys, again, if I give you an assignment that's just taking notes and answering a couple of things through Ed Puzzle, that 0 is a complete choice. So please make sure that you are doing your notes. All right. So from your notes, somebody should be able to tell me what is, hopefully this new document camera is going to work better. We won't have all that glare. What is a relation? There you go. Boom. Right? Set of coordinates. Again, this unit on functions, the only hard part about it is a lot of vocabulary. It's not calculation. It is things you are going to have to know. All right, 4 ways to represent. The one is what you already said with coordinates. So I could represent a relation using coordinates. And remember from, I don't know, 4th grade, when you had a set, you used those braces, right? So I'm going to get some coordinates in here. Throw some numbers at me, guys. What are my coordinates going to be? All right, I'm going to do 2 and 3. That's going to be in quadrant. Okay, so give me another quadrant. All right. What quadrant would -2, +5 be in? Good. 2. Give me something from quadrant 4. Perfect. All right. Boom. There's a relation, right? That's my relation, a set of coordinates. That's one way of representing it. Lena, you want to move up here? Okay. All right. Another way of showing coordinates, one that you are, that's going to look awful funky. That's supposed to be a T, a table, right? What would my coordinates here, X, Y, my first one was 2, 3, -2, 5, and 3, -1. I mean, even though I moved it from just coordinates into a table, is that not just the same 3 coordinates? So it's just a relation, right? Whether I make it in coordinates or I put it in a table, that's a relation. Can you tell me another way I might be able to represent a relation? Where else have we had coordinates, guys? There you go. I could represent a relation on a graph. Again, a relation's just a set of coordinates. So anyway, I put that set of coordinates, 2, 3, right 2, up 3, somewhere like that. -2, 5, left 2, up 5. Not very accurate, but something of that nature. And right 3 and down, right? A graph is a set of coordinates. Well, use those. try to get them somewhere, right? Okay, one more that you probably haven't seen. Has anybody seen it today looking at these papers? I tried to use the Cami today. And I just reminded myself that you shouldn't mess around with things you don't know. So I don't know what I did. But another way of representing a set of coordinates is called a mapping. Now, some people, when they're doing a mapping, they're going to use ovals. Some people are just going to use rectangles. That's going to be up to you. But in my first oval, I'm going to put my x coordinates. In my second one, I'm going to put my y coordinates. So my x's are 2, -2, and 3. My y's are 3, 5, and -1. Now that's not the mapping. The mapping is the arrows I'm going to draw, right? This 2 here belongs to the 3 because it's the coordinate 2, 3, right? So I'm going to draw an arrow from the 2 to the 3. From the -2 to the 5, and from the 3 to the -1. Guys online, don't forget you can ask a question anytime you want. All right, independent and dependent. Does anybody have those definitions from last night's notes? What did you write? My independent variable is my x values. Good. Does anybody have a couple of other names that we gave that x value? Altogether, you had 4 names last night for your x value. One was independent. The other is x. Domain. Range is going to be for my y. When we were doing f of x, what did we do with the x's? And we put them into the equation. So we put them into the equation. So they were called the input. Oh my goodness. Input.
That wasn't in the notes.
That was in the notes. You just hadn't done your notes yet.
Oh. I got the vocabulary down.
Well, that's good. You're going to need the vocabulary, guys. Get strong. Quizlet, I think, is really good for flashcards, for vocabulary. You might want to use it. You got to know your vocabulary on this one. Dependent variables are my... And somebody already told me. And, okay. Yay, you did it. All right. So, x is the, and you can remember the domain and range. X comes before y, D comes before R, right? So x is always your domain. So let me ask you this. If I worked for 3 hours and I got $12, okay? Work for 3 hours, I get $12. My rate is 4. Now, what if I wanted more money? How could I change the amount of money that I make?
Work more hours.
There you go. I could work more hours, right? So my hours are kind of the guy in charge, right? My hours are the guy that's going to determine how much money I'm going to get. Yes? Okay, so that makes the hours my independent variable because the money is going to depend on how many hours I work. So my money would be dependent and my hours would be independent. So if you look, let's see if I can blow this up. You got it in front of you. I'm at 106. Let's see what 150 looks like. The air pressure inside a tire increases with the temperature. So you've probably already done this problem in science. The temperature goes up, it gets hot. The air in your tires expand, so the pressure gets bigger. The temperature drops, it gets cold. The air in your tires contracts, so your tires get flatter, right? Who's in charge? The temperature. The temperature is changing the air pressure, yes? So what does that make the temperature? The independent X. Good. That's my independent variable, my X variable. All right, so who is dependent? Good. Dependent, my Y. And I forgot to write the end half of independent. All right, so read your next one and see what you can come up with for me. All right, as the amount of rain decreases, what do you think the rain is? Independent. Is the rain changing the water level?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that means amount of rain, independent, my X value. And we're going to spend a week on all this independent and dependent variable next week before our test. And the water level is going to be okay. All right, kind of already answered this one. What's my domain? There you go. The set of all X values. What else is domain? Domain is X, and it's input, and it's independent. 4 words to reference that X coordinate, guys. All right, range. There you go. Okay, so all day we've been kind of fussing about what you have to write from those notes. Okay, so you get a grade for taking those notes by answering your Ed Puzzle questions, right? How else do those notes affect your grade? Okay, well, one more straightforward one. When you take that quiz on Thursday, what am I going to tell you first? Take out your notes, right? So your notes are going to help you with your quiz on Thursday. But also, I mean, where do you study from? Okay. I am not saying you have to write down. Actually, I prefer when I give you those videos and I write stuff down, I would love to see you putting it in your own language. Because whose language is going to make better sense to you, mine or yours? So, I mean, put it in your own. You need that information. I am not telling you you've got to write down everything I write. I'm telling you what I'm putting in those videos is information you need. But put it in your own words. That is going to be better for you. All right, I got to look at this graph and define who is my domain and range. So, not very good on the copy machine, but let's take this bottom point right here. What's the X?
Wait.
At the bottom of the screen.
5 and 1.
5, and the Y is 1. All right, so that means my domain has a 5 and my range has a 1.
I only got 1 dot on my paper.
You had to fill in these. The copy machine didn't do too well.
What it is, 3 and 4?
Okay. 3,
Oh, I see them a little bit.
4. So that means my domain has a 3 and my Y has a 4. Okay, my last one.
1 and 3.
My domain has a 1 and my range has a 3. Use your set notation. Yes? Okay, the next one's a mapping. Do you think you can read this mapping? What is my first coordinate off of there?
47.
Good. Those lines give you your coordinates. 4, 7.
3 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
1
1.
and 8.
Okay. And
-5 and 6.
so what is mine? And I'm going to write it. It's best practices. I'm not going to mark you wrong if you don't, because it's not wrong, but it's just best practices to always write your numbers in least to greatest. So I'm going to put -5, 1, 3, and 4. And what am I going to put for my range?
Oh, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're writing, when you're listing out your domain and range,
Can I just draw parentheses?
mm-hmm.
Could that line be bigger?
You don't need to write the same number twice. Like if I had 5 coordinates and every one of the Y's was a 3, I would not write that 3 5 times. I would only write it 1 time. Okay? Yes? A function. A set of coordinates where every X has only one Y.
Would it be
Whoa.
Would it be wrong if you write this all the same number twice?
It won't be wrong. I won't count it wrong, but I mean, it doesn't make any sense to really. Okay, so what you can't have, like if you're a function, this X can only show up 1 time. Because let's say you had 2, 3, and 2, -7. Well, that X, that 2, has a 3 and a -7. And it can only have 1 Y, not 2 Y's. Does that make sense, guys? Whenever you're looking at a table or a graph, the easy way to see if it's a function, if anything repeats, like any X values show up twice, then you're going to say no. You're going to say it's not a function. So let's practice that on the page on the flip side. It is 2:26. I have 4 more minutes with you. All right, tell me, where should I draw my first arrow? From, there you go. This right here is telling me 1 to -2, 3 to 4, 4 to, and 6 to, right? Now look at these X's. Are they all different? Is every one of my X's different? Then your answer is yes. It's a function. Sir? And that's okay. All the Y's can be the same. To answer this particular question, I don't really care what Y is doing. The only thing I got to look at is what is X doing. Okay? All right, and you see one arrow coming out of every X on your mapping, yes? So you know they only occur one time. Let's do that mapping for my next one here.
Five and -6.
8
8 and 1. 8 and -2. And 7 0.
Okay, so did you have a function?
No.
Good. 5 and 7. You see how I ended up with 2 arrows coming out of one X? This one X has 2 Y's. And every X can only have one Y. Right? Jaheim. Tap his shoulder for me, please. Okay. What about this here? My table. What's another name for my table?
Relation.
Rant. Okay. Look at those X's. Are they all different?
Yes.
So do I have a function?
Yes.
Yes, this is a function. All right, now I'm going to start moving around a little bit. I want to do this middle graph, so I need you to plot your points, please.
The one starting with 4, 5.
4, 5, 4, 7. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5. Where is 3, -2 gonna fall into? Right, 3 and
That's in the fourth one, right?
yep. And -2, 5.
That's in the second one.
All right. What happens if I draw a vertical line through this point right there? How many points on my graph do I intersect with? This one, right? What if I draw one here? Okay, well, what if I draw one like that, orange and blue? Right there. So what happened there? Why did I get 2 points on that graph?
Because 2 have the same X.
because they have the same x. And when they have the same x, what happens? There you go. All right, what they call that is down at the bottom of your page, the vertical line test. So I'm going to come down to the bottom. A vertical line can intersect your graph. Only at one point. If I have more than 1 point, I fail the vertical line test, and I am not a function. So if I look at this one here, get this, that.
All right, I got it now.
No, I don't know. Are you gonna post the video later?
Okay. All right, so if I do, no matter how many vertical lines I draw on this, am I going to touch my graph more than 1 point? I mean, I can keep drawing vertical lines. How many, when I'm talking about my graph, make sure you understand, I'm talking about this line here, right? So if I keep drawing those orange lines, how many times are those orange lines going to intersect with that blue line? Just one time. Is this vertical line going to intersect with this blue line any place else but right there? No. So it's only going to touch it one time, right? What about this one? Is this vertical line going to intersect with this graph anywhere but here? Anywhere but there? No. So it's only going to intersect in 1 point, right? So if it only intersects in 1 point, that means all of my x's are different, and I am a function. That x is continuously changing. What about this one over here? Did that vertical line intersect with my graph at more than 1 point? Yeah. Here and here. So it fails the vertical line test, and it is not a function. Okay? Yes or no? On the vertical line test. 3? Cool. Okay. Talking some more about those f of x. Yes, sir. You can. Looking at your table, guys. And I'm not going to do all of these. I'm going to leave some of it left up to you to finish looking at that table. What that table is, my f of x. What's f of 1? Where's the 1 on my table? X is 1. F of x is my y. So what's f of 1? The 6. When x is 1, y is 6. Well, what about 5? What's f of 5 going to be? Good. All right, now where are these numbers coming from? Let's say I put in,
Can I get my list?
yes, ma'am. Let's say I put that 1 into my function. Ma'am?
Man, go to the office.
Not right now. What's 3 times 1? Plus 3. Okay, what's 3 times 2? Plus 3. 3 times 4? Plus 3. 5 times 3? Plus 3. So all of these numbers are coming out of this function, right? So now I need to know what's 3 times f of 1.5. 3 times. What's 3 times 1? Okay, so I got a 3 over here. What's 3 times 0.5? What's half of 3? 1.5. So I've got a 3 and a 1.5. What's 3 times 1.5? 3 plus 1.5. Good. Plus 3? Good. All right, look at that table. Tell me what my domain is. Exactly. I'm going to move that over. Domain is equal to 1, 2, 4, and 5. What is my range? Exactly. Yes? All right, I'm going to do just a few more with you. Look at this graph at the bottom. I mean, in the middle, I'm sorry, not at the bottom. Look at your coordinate points. Do I have a point where x is negative 3? No. My negative 3 on x is back here, right? And I have no points. So this answer right here is none. And don't forget to look at these coordinate points to answer your domain and range for that question, okay? When you've got to give me domain and range, you've got to look at these points. One more. When I have a line with an arrow on the end, where does it stop? Okay, so if it doesn't stop, it goes to where? What's that word? Its symbol is a sideways 8. Infinity. So where does my x, looking at my domain for this problem? I got to get the graph and the question in here. Where's my domain start? What's my smallest or my biggest x? Or my smallest x, I'm sorry. Okay.
Miss Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
I have football practice. Is it okay if I go ahead and leave?
Yeah, I got this, what we're doing right now is recording, so I'll post it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a good day. All right.
You too.
So your domain starts at 4 and goes to infinity. What about your range? Where does your range start? What's your smallest y?
2.
So your range is going to start at 2 and go to infinity. Yes.
They canceled
Okay. All right. The only one that we really haven't talked about, you got to go back to when we were solving equations. And then the rest are going to be up to you. This is going to be the last one I do with you. If I have f of p minus 2 and f of x is 2x minus 5. Remember yesterday we said I'm going to write everything but an empty parentheses where the x is at, right? Now what do I need to put in instead of that x? P minus 2. Because that's what I'm trying to find, right? F of p minus 2. All right. Now you know what to do with that. What do you do when there's a number next to a parentheses? Multiply. What do we call that? Distribute. So I have 2p minus 4 minus 5. Anything I can clean up there? Minus 4 minus 5. Good. So 2p minus 9. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave the rest up to you. I have posted 4 lessons from your function lessons on MobyMax. So, and that will be due on Friday. So you don't have to get started on it today, but by Friday it's got to be done. Okay? All right. I'm walking around. You tell me, hand up if you have any questions, okay? If you get stuck.
Miss Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
I went to go on to MobyMax to start on the work, and it's making me do a placement test.
Ignore the placement test. You should see lessons on there that say functions. It should let you do the function with and ignore the placement.